It is true that FEMA and the Department of Homeland Security have been spending billions of dollars on migrants.
That all those who were involved in hitting send on that $59 million payment against the president's executive orders and his agenda will be terminated.
I've done some serious digging on this bombshell claim Elon Musk dropped about FEMA spending $59 million on illegal immigrants, all while Americans are still homeless after the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. And here's the thing. I've uncovered something much bigger than I initially anticipated. You ready for this? The Biden administration, with a little help from Congress and FEMA, have been funneling nearly $1 billion of your money to house illegal migrants. They were using FEMA like a shell company. That's something the Biden family's familiar with, to redistribute funds to house these migrants. I'm going to break it all down for you and explain it in a way that's easy to understand. But first, let me refresh your memory with what former Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre repeatedly said from the White House podium. Watch this.
This is a falsehood. Disaster relief funds used on immigrants illegally in the U.S. The fact is, no money is being diverted from response needs. That's the fact. It is not true. It is a false statement. And look, the fact of the matter is, I think Washington Post fact checker did a piece, and the headline recently, just moments ago, not too long ago, and the headline was, "No, Biden did not take FEMA relief money to use on migrants, but Trump did." I'll leave it there.
No, KJB, you can't leave it there because you forgot to explain where the money is actually coming from. So allow me to do that for you. Let's look at the official FEMA.gov website. Under the Shelter and Services Program, also known as SSP, it says, quote, in fiscal year 2024, Congress appropriated $650 million for SSP. SSP provides financial support to non-federal entities to provide sheltering and related activities to non-citizen migrants. So picture it this way. Congress is giving FEMA their regular allotted funds in a bucket that's labeled FEMA. But then Biden's Congress created a separate bucket, not labeled FEMA, and put $650 million of your tax dollars last year into that bucket. This bucket, totally unrelated to FEMA's responsibilities, but Congress put them in charge of it and told them to dish it out to illegal migrants. That's how they're getting around the argument that FEMA, according to Biden's administration, isn't funding migrants. And guess what? I dug deeper and found out that Congress also allocated $336.8 million to FEMA back in 2023. So we're talking just under $1 billion of your taxpayer dollars was given to housing migrants during Biden's final 2 years in office. You still with me on this? All right, so now while Congress and Biden were deceiving Americans, let me remind you what former Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas told Americans after Hurricane Helene ravaged parts of Florida and North Carolina this past October.
We are meeting the immediate needs with the money that we have. We are expecting another hurricane hitting. We do not have the funds. FEMA does not have the funds to make it through the season.
Disturbing, right? I mean, they created this secret fund. They funneled it through FEMA, all while pretending it wasn't happening. Meanwhile, we have Americans in North Carolina who were left high and dry after Hurricane Helene. This all while $650 million was redirected that year to people who broke our law and entered this country illegally. Okay, let's circle back to the $59 million, that FEMA payment that Elon Musk and DOGE just unveiled and are now calling out. So the acting FEMA administrator, Cameron Hamilton, he responded to this whole fiasco, writing the following on X. He said, I want to thank DOGE team for making me aware of this. Effective yesterday, these payments have all been suspended from FEMA. Personnel will be held accountable. Now, this $59 million payment was initiated less than 2 weeks after Trump signed an executive order calling for a full review of FEMA. The order raises concerns about FEMA's efficiency, their political bias, which we saw in North Carolina when they were instructed not to help the residents who had Trump signs on their lawn, and the misuse of resources. It says there's a concern that the agency has failed to adequately assist disaster victims despite having access to significant funding. I mean, $650 million is not just a drop in the bucket. Here's how Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt responded when she was asked about the consequences for the people who hit send on that $59 million payment. Watch this.
Well, I know that Secretary Noem and her team have confirmed that all those who were involved in hitting send on that $59 million payment against the president's executive orders and his agenda will be terminated. We are not going to allow rogue bureaucrats in this city to obstruct the will of the American people.
I mean, the bottom line here is your tax dollars were diverted to house illegal migrants, while American communities were left to fend for themselves after a devastating hurricane. Let that sink in. All right, let me know if you have any comments. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to clear any of this up. I know it can be a little confusing. Also, I want to hear your thoughts on this ongoing FEMA debacle because it is far from over. In the meantime, I want to thank you for stopping by and remind you, if you haven't already, give me a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you have all the facts as soon as they're posted. If you're looking for more on the latest political headlines, just take a look at some of the videos that are on your screen. Take care, and we'll see you next time.